Hey there everyone, welcome back to another Impressions video. And recently I've been going crazy with my handhelds. I've been neglecting all of my consoles and mostly playing handhelds. So I've been looking at mostly my Vita and 3DS and a little bit of the PSP. But today we're going to be talking about another Vita game. And that game is聖魔道物語, which is Holy Sorcery Story, roughly. There's not I don't think there's an official name for it, but I'm calling it Holy Sorcery Story because that's my rough translation. But so Holy Sorcery Story here is a cute roguelike, I guess. It's kind of the two things that don't really match. Unforgiving, difficult gameplay and cutesy characters, but there we go. This is it. So this is actually made by Compile Heart. So I actually bought this game for a couple of reasons. One being Compile Heart made it, and they also made Rogue Heart's Dungeon, which I've talked about on this channel. But that game is a pretty good roguelike, and the creator of that game is also the person who originally ported Rogue to Japanese PCs. So he knows roguelikes. So I figured if he was going to make a roguelike, this one would be probably pretty good because it's made by that guy. I don't know his name, sorry. But another reason is that it's supposed to be a continuation of Mado Monogatari, which is an older RPG. I'm not sure how old it is actually. I know it's ported to the Game Gear and the Saturn later. But I think it's originally a PC RPG made by Compile, not Compile Heart, but Compile, who I think Compile Heart kind of rose from the ashes of Compile. I don't think they're the same company, but I think a lot of the same people who worked at Compile formed Compile Heart after it went out of business. But Mado Monogatari is a pretty famous RPG actually, not outside of Japan, but it probably should be only because, well, I mean, it's cutesy like this game is, but that's not the reason it should be good. But you might unknowingly know about Mado Monogatari because it's basically all the characters you've ever seen in a Puyo Puyo game are from Mado Monogatari, also made by Compile. So those characters are all from that RPG, and the Puyo Puyo RPGs, if you've ever seen those, are technically Mado Monogatari games. So this game is also connected to those. And there are a few. I mean, there's a port of Mado Monogatari on the Saturn, which is probably the best one, but it's also ridiculously expensive. You can get those also on the Game Gear, and they're pretty cheap. So if you just want to play it, go for the Game Gear. If you want the best version, go with the Saturn, because everything is better on the Saturn. But we'll talk about this game. So we've got Holy Sorcery Story here,聖魔道Monogatari, and it's, as I said, it's cute, but it's a roguelike. So we've got some kind of, different things. I'm not a huge fan of the art style. I've mentioned this before. I don't like kind of cutesy, squeaky anime girls, or these kind of anime tropes that are these kind of cute lolis or whatever. I don't know what's going on with this. I'm just not a fan. I'm not a fan of the art style. And previously in my life, in my life, I don't know what I'm talking about. In general, I used to really avoid games where I hated the art style. But I find that by doing that, I kind of cheated myself out of playing some awesome games. So I've stopped really caring. Normally, I wouldn't have bought a game that looked like this. If I saw it on the shelves, I probably would avoid it. But knowing about it, knowing what kind of game it is and who made it and the kind of history behind it, it makes me want to play it even though I'm not going to enjoy the art style. And overall, I don't enjoy the art style. But the game itself is fun enough to play, and fun enough and hard enough to play for me as a roguelike. So let's talk about it. I guess I'll first talk about, I'll finish up with the art. The art is colorful and bright, and it's kind of, everybody is a lowly, so their ages aren't young. Some of them are young, but most of them are reasonably at least teenagers, but even the adults look like lowlies. So like they're obviously adults, but they're still lowlies. I don't know. It's just the art style. And the stages though have a really nice art style. I like the stage design. It's like pretty colorful, and there's a lot of interesting things going on in the backgrounds that you might not notice right away. Like some stages, I mean, the whole game is based on curry, which I'll explain. But there are scenes where, like, in place of boulders, there's just giant potatoes, and like instead of trees, there's like curry spoons and forks and things. It's pretty interesting, actually. I kind of thought it was a nice touch for the game. But the gameplay itself, if you know what a roguelike is, and you better, if you've been watching my channel, because I've been putting up a bunch of roguelikes. It's all I've been talking about recently. But roguelikes, yeah, this one is a roguelike. It's turn-based. Well, I mean grid-based, turn-based roguelike. It's a roguelike. Except it doesn't play exactly like a roguelike in some aspects. Like, you don't have a hunger meter. Instead, you have this partner with you, this little cute little white rabbit-looking thing that eats everything. And he has a health meter that's also a hunger meter. So you have to feed the rabbit thing, or he'll get angry and make enemies attack you, which is kind of funny. But he'll hang out with you until he gets really hungry, and then he'll start screaming, and all the enemies in the stage will rush you. So it's kind of like it's like your health meter, except it's not. It's a bit more forgiving than something like when I showed Rogue Heart's Dungeon. If your health meter goes to 0, you die. In this game, if you go to 0, he just gets angry and starts yelling. So it's not exactly the same kind of difficulty. Like a game like even Shiren the Wanderer, if you run out of food, you start losing health. So this game is a bit more forgiving in that aspect. And also, if the rabbit thing doesn't die, if you die and the rabbit doesn't die, the weapon and shield you're holding, which is important, you won't lose in the dungeon. Of course, you lose all the stuff you held and your levels, like a normal roguelike. But if the little rabbit guy dies and you die, you lose everything, including the weapons you were holding, which is a nightmare if you're really trying to level those things up. And it's important to level up weapons. It's like the only thing you can do in the game to become powerful. So let's talk about it. There is a kind of interesting weapon upgrade system. You have a lot of different weapons, and they're all like pretty interesting, actually. I like the design of the weapons because sometimes they're like giant forks and things, and it looks cool when you're attacking enemies with a giant fork, or they're like these cool, like elegantly designed swords and things. I think it's really awesome. They look really good, so I enjoyed that. But you can kind of customize the weapons by leveling them up, and each weapon starts out at a base. When you find it, it's always at the kind of base level, and then each weapon has 5 different levels, so the weapon itself will level up, and when you level it, it opens slots where you can add in special abilities from other weapons by fusing them. So that's pretty cool. You can actually make a pretty badass sword if you put in the right stuff together. And I pretty much figured out the best combination I could come up with and made like a pretty awesome character, which I'll talk about because I lost all that stuff, and I'll talk about it later. But what happened, with this game, like you really do have to kind of go through a bunch of areas a couple times to, collect some good items and not die, so that you can fuse together items to make the best weapon, so you'll be strong enough to fight the bosses. And in some cases, not even the bosses are the strongest things on the level. You'll come across like enemies that are way overpowered and like often in a kind of distant area that you have to avoid. That's kind of bad because I died on a couple of those by accident. But it's kind of how roguelikes go. There's always like some kind of special monsters that'll show up every once in a while that kind of ruin your life, and, and that happens often in other games too. So it's not like it's not a problem with this game actually. But there's also a couple other things you can think of for this game. Besides there's only 2 types of things. There's a sword and a shield. That's all you have for weapons. But you have a lot of different kind of clothing you can get. So you can, it's like playing dress up, I guess. I didn't really do it. I just found this like ninja looking outfit and left her in that the whole game. But you can get all these different outfits. So she has like bunny ears and little crowns and hats and things that like if you're into that kind of thing, it might be fun. And she has lots of little frilly dresses and things you can dress her up in. But you have to like complete stages and do like certain requirements to unlock all that stuff, which could be fun for some people. There's also like you can find rare items that will unlock little skits. So there's these like little skits that you can go to, and they'll like talk back and forth on a stage and play out this little scene. You'll get an item usually for it, which is nice sometimes. But I didn't really go through all of them. Even though I collected a ton of those things, I had pretty much my base set that I really wanted. So I was like tired of flipping through the scenes all at once, and there's like 50 or 60, and I was not doing them for a long time, so I had like 40 of those skits, and I just couldn't sit through them all. But they're funny. They're all like goofy little funny skits, but I just couldn't do them all at once. I'll probably go back and look at them eventually, but for now, it's not like a pressing issue. But as you go through the game, actually, it's pretty long. It's not really long, actually. I think there are a total of 7, maybe 8 stages plus 2 bonus stages and a final stage. But as you go through the stages, they get longer and longer, so your levels of the dungeon will be higher and higher. So I think, like towards the end, you're getting like 40 or 50 stages, which is hard. I mean, as the enemies get harder and you don't really have a way to keep pace, you'll find like later on in the stages, like you really have to be careful or you'll die easily. And it's always awful to die and lose all your stuff when you've gone through like an hour of gameplay and 40 levels or something. That's always like, that's why roguelikes are fun to me. It's because like you really have to think it out and you really have to plan it, and everything is random, so you don't really have a guarantee that you're going to win. So it's the kind of thing where this game does that too. It's not completely random though. All the stages in this game aren't randomly generated. Some of them are, but some of them are not. So all the items in the stage are random though. So it's not 100% not random, but the enemies and items are all random. Stage's design is not for some places. But let me talk about. Well, it probably took me about. I don't even know how long it took to finish this game, actually. It seems that when you leave it in the Vita and leave it in, like, sleep mode, it just keeps counting up time. So, like, my playtime on it is, like, 2 weeks or something, or, like, a week and a half. And I didn't play the game for a week and a half straight. Just left it on my Vita for a week and a half straight. And, it's counted up all that time. But I think 40 hours, I'd say, maybe. But that might be lowballing it, because I have a nightmare story with this game. After you beat the game, it opens up like a 256 level dungeon for the final true ending of the game. So, but I'm going through the game and I'm like at level 150 or something, and the game froze. And in a roguelike, if the game freezes, it counts as a reset or a turn off of the system, which is an automatic loss of all your items. Nightmare. I mean, that's like at the end of the game, after I went through the whole game building up weapons and making like the perfect set. The game has a bug apparently where if you reach level 99 through normal means, i.e. killing enemies, the game will freeze and you'll lose everything. And that totally happened to me. I looked it up afterwards on their website, and they said, yes, there is a bug that freezes at level 99. So I lost about 8 hours of gameplay and wanted to shoot somebody. But, I actually did afterwards go back and build my weapon up to the same place it was before, and my shield up to a better place than it was before, and I went back and I beat the 256 level dungeon, which was long. It took me more than a day to finish it, and I mean, not a complete day of playing, but I did play for like maybe an entire Sunday afternoon from the morning until the evening or something, and I just finished the rest of it through like playing on the train and playing in my lunch break and a little bit after work, and then I finally like was speeding through stages so that I could get to the end. And I did finally clear it, and you do get like an extra stuff, and you get like it's the worst prize at the end because you don't need anything. There's no extra dungeons past that, so you get a scroll at the end that says like it's proof that you made it to the top of the stage. That's it. It's worth nothing. You can't sell it. If you use it, it disappears. It's the kind of thing like it's so worthless, but it's like my main point of pride for the game. If anyone wants to talk to me about that game, I've got the scroll from climbing the 256 level tower, which it did feel good to finish it, even though I had to do like a crazy workaround to get past the level 99 bug, where you have to stockpile items and hope that you can create this thing that gives you a level boost at level 98 to level 99 without killing enough enemies to reach level 99 first. So that was a kind of stressful period. Even after I reached level 99, it was still stressful. Like every stage after that, I was like, is it gonna freeze? Is it gonna freeze? Am I gonna lose like the 10 more hours I had to do to build up my weapons and get all my stuff back? So that was kind of, I guess they'll probably patch that in the next patch. So if you're gonna really want to play it right now, like watch out for that. Otherwise, like it'll probably be patched out. But for me, it was a nightmare. But yeah, this game, I dropped it. But this game,聖魔道物語, it was pretty fun. I seriously doubt it'll get a translation. And there's probably a lot of text actually, now that I think about it. But the game itself is easy to play. It's just you wouldn't be able to read any of the item descriptions, and there's plenty of items, a lot of items in this game. So it might be hard to play without knowing Japanese. But it's pretty interesting. It was a good roguelike. And I'm glad to see it's the only roguelike on the Vita, so if you're really interested and you really think you want to struggle through it or you have some Japanese ability, go for it. It's fun for a roguelike. It's not the hardest roguelike I've ever played. It's not the easiest either, so that's always good. Yeah, so this video is longer than I thought it was going to be. Nearly 18 minutes now, but whatever. So I guess I'm gonna call this a video and go to sleep because it's nighttime here, and sleep is what I do at nighttime. So yeah, I will see you guys next time.